We're here with Don
Mhm.
Sheff, the creator of Coefficient Handlebars. And I got to be honest, Don, when I first saw these handlebars, they're the weirdest looking handlebars I've seen, but I couldn't stop looking at them. And I'm really excited to have you on to talk more about them. I'm curious what inspired the unique design of the first set of handlebars that you have, because you have two now, and the first iteration being the all road carbon. And then after you tell us a story of like how that came about, how did you kind of balance the comfort with the aerodynamic efficiency? Because I know all cyclists care about that.
Well, Delvin, it's a pleasure to meet you and talk to you. And this is a first for me to actually, other than people that wanted to buy the handlebar, actually now want to understand how it came to be. And so, thanks for the invite, and thanks for the interest in knowing how it came about. Um, I know we've had a couple of minutes to talk ahead of time, and so some of the things that I talked about were the miles that I used to ride when I was in my 50s. And even before then, I was involved in cycling, but I wasn't as competitive because I went from running to biking. And I had the opportunity of having a roommate who was a pro cyclist and did cyclocross. So I was encouraged to get more competitive because I wanted to ride with her. And that involved getting intervals in, getting hill work in, getting lots of miles in. And like I said earlier, I went from, 200-mile weekends to 30-mile days every day in between my regular job and that. And as I was doing intervals up and down Montana, it just got to the point where the pain of it all, uh, physiology wise, I knew I was in the wrong position all the time, all the time. And and one day going up Mount Tam, I just put my hands out in front of me, and I saw the angles, and I said, "Why doesn't anybody come out with a hand like an angle like this?" And so I went home and I pulled out a draft sheet of draft paper, a mechanical engineer's draft paper, and I put down the angles of my hands. So essentially, this bar came from my hands to the paper, and then
Awesome.
yeah, and then we augmented it to the normal everyday person because I have bigger hands than normal, and um, through some graphic design work, uh, came up with those angles, and then the iterations that came about from that uh, finalized some of the molds that we eventually bought. And I can tell you the process for getting the mold and getting it over to where I can make it mass produced was a 5 year journey that didn't end until probably 4 or 5 years ago, where we actually found a good manufacturer who was reputable, who could do exactly what we wanted to do with the handlebar, and, and it became more professional, to say the least. As far as the idea of the bar, it also comes out because of the positioning, and I understood because of being an athlete and running, my physiology, breathing, balance on the bike. I kind of started to incorporate all those things into it and the different positions on the bar. Down on the drops, I noticed my thumbs were sore, so I put the thumb notch there. And want to go into an arrow, deep arrow, so we kind of smoothed out the top of the bar to give it the smooth arrow. Um, and then the trick of the thing too is, if you know, like with balance on the bike, when you want to lean into a turn, the curve of the drops and the center of the front hub should be carrying the center of weight directly on the hub and the front wheel. So when you lean, that's all you should need to do is lean and the wheel will turn because of centrifugal force. So I tried to incorporate the notch of the thumb kind of in that sweet spot. And, and what's happened over time is everybody's got their own little spot notch and they don't quite understand the physics of it. And so I get calls, Kai answers emails that people, how come I can't see my Garmin? How come I can't do that? And it's like, well, it's specifically designed for perfect, to be perfect. So then to come to the idea of an iteration, uh, the first bar wasn't like the RR bar is now. The first bar was just straight across with the angles, didn't incorporate any kind of extra positioning. And others along the way kept suggesting these things to me. And so I did find an engineer. His name was Damon. He was a really nice guy. I don't keep in touch with him. He's actually now working for Specialized. He came up with some of the added features of it, and we incorporated the Garmin mount into the handlebar, and that was the big seller. And now that's basically what everybody wants. So we got
Okay.
lucky.
Yeah. So Damon, what changes specifically other than the Garmin mount did you make from that first generation bar to the road race handlebar, which is the one most people are
Yeah.
using now?
So there are two things that changed. The oval size of it, uh, that was all proportional to the size of the bar. And the idea was that bigger people need a bigger oval and vice versa. The same is true with the RR. And so we did this anthropomorphic kind of iteration of the bar. As it got bigger, we made the top bar and the RR a little bit bigger, and vice versa. So that was a big key change to getting rid of the numbness in your fingers when you're always hanging on the bar like that. And the angles, we just changed a little bit of the angles a little bit, because if you saw some of the very first iterations, I don't want to I don't want to show you how stupid I was. It was really it was comical. I mean, I have some in the garage and I have pictures that I just won't show to anybody because it's just so ridiculous.
Other than Damon, are you working with any professional gravel or road cyclists? And yourself, I mean, it sounds like you take a lot of your own feedback. Are you working with any other, pro gravel riders or road riders to get feedback?
Yeah, so Damon was the engineer, um, and we had a couple of other people. Rick was initially in the beginning helping me along the way. He sort of laid the groundwork for the actual company itself. I think because of his specialized experience, was able to really teach me. He did teach me a lot um, in the foundation of the company. He also had input. He was a big, strong cyclocross mountain biker, and had a lot of friends. And so when he showed him the handlebar, he got lots of feedback from them as well. So a lot of the concepts, the basic concept is patented and is all locked in. And what we've done is over time, we've just refined the patent work so that nobody can copy it. They shouldn't copy it.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there that are trying, but no, I don't know if
Have you
that
been
answers.
able to do any aerodynamic testing yet? I know it can be expensive
Yeah,
to do that. Are you guys at the
yeah,
point where you're able to do that?
yeah. So that's a good question. I did that 5 years ago. We did the San Diego wind tunnel, and we did find out that it was handlebar was efficient. To give you some basic numbers, we found that a 1 hour ride with our handlebar, because of the aerodynamics and the efficiency and stuff like that, on a 1 hour ride, you would save 6 minutes,
Wow.
which is a lot. It's a lot. And it really, between the comfort, the efficiency, the physiology, aerodynamics, and the one thing when you're riding like this or comfortable on the tops, you're not swaying back and forth, which there's a lot of energy loss in that, and your pedals are more straight up and down. Same thing with climbing. When you're in the drops like that, it really does open up your chest, and it directs your pedal energy more evenly. So you're not doing this, teeter-totter
Right.
thing. Yeah, so we did find a lot of that um, with the wind tunnel. And so even with the variations of direction, it doesn't change. And when you look at it, you kind of sense it. It's kind of like a wing anyways, the way it's shaped. It's like this V shape. So between your elbows and the shape, it cuts 6 minutes out of an hour ride.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And who would
yeah.
you say this bar is for? I mean, gravel racing is big right now. People are doing crit racing. I mean, like, how do you see this brand position within the broader bicycle handlebar market?
So the two types, the one, the racing bar, the RR, I think, and in fact, I think I just saw it in one of the pro races. I was like, whoa, is that really our bar? And I did see it. And I was like, somebody's using it that I don't know about. So somebody's got it. And I'm going to be curious when I go back and look at the video to see if who it was. But the pros, for them looking for all these little subtle things, uh, the RR is definitely the way to go because it really does. Uh, it smooths out everything. And so I would say even the gravel guys, they're still using the RR. The first guy, Ian Boswell, that we had win a race, he did the this race in Kansas, and
Unbound.
yeah, that's right, Unbound. He did that. He won it, and you know, that was just for an old guy. He came back, and the workouts that he was telling and showing me because he was doing them on Strava and stuff like that is like wow. And he's like, yeah, the bar does help. He did, and he had it on display. And then of course the company that had the bike that was supporting him didn't want the handlebar on the bike, and yeah, so you know how it is. It's like
They probably had
you
their
got to
own
sell your
handlebar
soul and
display.
give it to them, right? I just can't do that. I just
Yeah,
don't do that.
we won't name any names.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But
so
the regular bar is a touring bar. You know, if you're not into the like total comfort, and what I'm finding is that the older the people are, and I'm not, you know, denigrating anybody's age or anything, but it seems like if you're not racing, even if you're not racing, you still want the RR because of the positioning and the comfort in the hand and stuff like that. And so what I'm thinking now is people that use the AR are just everyday general riders, you know, that like the comfort of it and aren't looking for any kind of performance increase or, you know, more like touring, general tours. So, in one time I was looking at touring companies that would do an OEM for their bikes and haven't had the time or the personnel to really dig into that kind of a outreach. But eventually I think we'll be doing that too.